Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. And hope you're having a great start to your day. And I'm just waiting here for a few folks to come on. And let's see. Okay. You're getting your... There we go, Nativity. Good morning. Your number one Nativity this morning. Andrea, Niagara Falls. How are you? And Margaret, how are you? Mary, as you can see, I'm traveling. Kevin, good morning. Brahim, Portland, Oregon. Jen from Cape Breton. Carol, West Virginia. And Marcia, Mexico. And Rona, good morning. And Diane, bonjour. Annette, nice to have you on. And Alma and Sandy, Chilliwack, British Columbia. Nicole from Sudbury. Janine, Bossier State, Louisiana. Lisa, Nick from our staff. And Francis. And Maria. Dorothy, good morning. Okay, well, I guess you got, everything seems to be all right. You hear me? Jeanette, Carrie, Nebraska. And from Saskatchewan, I didn't even see it. Jerry, Moncton, bonjour, Jerry. And Donna. And Chantal, how are you? From Ottawa. Nicole, good morning. Diane, LaSalle. Louise, good morning to you guys. Jeanette. And Wendy, hello. Sue from Bolton. Eva, how are you? And Wanda from Virginia. Jeanette from our staff. Good morning, guys. John, how are you? Jeanette from Beamsville. And see, Fran. Oh, there it is, Orangeville. Margie, I'm having a little trouble seeing my screen this morning. Laura, I don't know if it's me or the screen. Mara. Val from Gaspé. Beautiful. Darlene from Saskatchewan. Colette, bon matin. Bonjour. Okay, guys, beautiful sunny day in Southern Ontario. Well, I'm in the United States traveling, and we got a wedding coming up, okay? And that's in our family, our Tony Jr., Dr. Jr., his daughter's getting married on Saturday. So we have a big family reunion here in the United States, in Milwaukee, and where my granddaughter Addie is getting married. And so that'll be Saturday. We're looking forward to that, okay? Now, guys, the other day, we talked about how sick our, well, this was specifically on the United States, but, you know, Canada's no different, okay? Statistically, we're, you know, as far as health goes, we're no different, okay? And so what I brought to you was a very sick nation. And I sort of called it the Big Pharma's dream. And we talked about why we're so sick. Okay? Why? And 70% of adults are on a prescription drug. All adults, 70%. 71% of adults are obese. Are overweight. 40% considered obese. We talked about the decrease in sperm counts, testosterone. It's, you know, 40% of the population is considered diabetic. And I tell you, it's a lot worse than that, because one of the most frightening statistics of all of that is 93% of the population have some form of metabolic syndrome, which is bad news, because metabolic syndrome, and you don't hear, you know, doctors talking about it so much, they don't even really understand what it is. And that is, okay, let me just tell you what it is again, just repetition. Metabolic syndrome is caused by insulin resistance, okay? That's what it's caused by. And insulin is a food hormone, okay? Now, I could bring a little teaching on this, and I've mentioned it to you before. If you don't sleep, okay, if you don't sleep, or you put a person in a very stressful situation, well, that can, I don't know if it can cause insulin resistance, but it's certainly cortisol pours gasoline on the fire of insulin resistance, okay? So for a lot of people, they have trouble lowering their insulin resistance because they're stressed, okay? So I just wanted to throw that in there. That is a big factor today. We get a lot of it. But what is metabolic syndrome? Metabolic syndrome caused by insulin resistance, okay? There's 5 or 6 biomarkers. Belly fat, increased blood pressure, increased blood sugar, okay? And it doesn't mean they're not normal. Like blood sugar going up can still be within the normal range. High triglycerides. Why do I want, if you're going to send me your blood work and you don't send me your triglycerides or your HDL, that's what I do. I do this. Ugh, I want to see your triglycerides and I want to see your HDL. Okay? I want to see your triglycerides and I want to see your HDL. So why? Because it's part of metabolic syndrome. That's how you make the diagnosis. That's how you know if you have insulin resistance. That's how you know if you're on the Titanic, is metabolic syndrome. And that can be reversed. Metabolic syndrome can be reversed. And 93% of the population in North America are metabolically unwell. Okay? Now, so that's what we were talking about the other day. And something new came up in the last 24 hours, a study out of Harvard. Okay? And now I'm going to tie this together because what they did at Harvard, they literally did the reset. No carbs. Okay? They studied 2,029 patients for 6 months. Participants in the study of absolutely no carbohydrates. They were eating what? Eggs, meat, and cheese. Okay? No fruits, no vegetables. Okay? And it was interesting. Okay? This is out of Harvard, guys. Okay? And I'm not even telling you that you have to do this. You know me and the reset. Reset is 30 days. And with my experience, I found, okay, several things. But one of the things, and just in terms of conforming, you know, if you're going to do something, I always say this: I am going to give you a plan to succeed, not to fail. Okay? So if I say, look, I want you to participate in something for 6 months. Now, some of you would do this. I know that because you guys are smart. That's why. No, really, you look, if you're going to participate in something, you're doing it. But what I used to tell my patients, and I had a lot of experience with this, is I wanted them to succeed. I didn't want them to fail. And I understood from my own experience that I could accomplish a lot of things in a 30-day program. And one of them was to get people to understand that, habits are formed in 21 days. And it's not just psychology. It isn't, okay? What it is getting people to understand how much better they feel when they lay off the crappy carbs and sugars. Because that's where I come from, really, okay? It's crappy carbohydrates and sugars. Because after the 30 days, if you want to have fruits and vegetables, go for it. What I always say is, don't live on them. You're not meant to live on them. Okay? You're just not. And so I'm sort of the anti-vegetarian, anti-vegan. I'm against that because it's not true. It's not science. It's not good for you. Okay, it's just not. And Harvard does this study. It does it for 6 months. Okay? In 2,029 participants. And they were pretty impressed with the results. Now, let me read the results to you. Okay? What they were looking for. So obviously these people were diabetics. So this was a 6-month program for diabetics, 2,000 of them. 100% of diabetics, okay, came off injectable meds. Okay? So you know what happens if you're a diabetic. You're on, usually what they do is they start with oral, okay? Usually. You get the diagnosis of you're a diabetic, and medicine starts you with meds right away. Instead of diet, they start you with meds, usually oral. And the number one med of all time for a diabetic is metformin. Now, what they don't tell you is the second you start taking metformin, you're not absorbing B12 anymore. It knocks B12 out of your body. It just does. It's one of its side effects. Most meds, by the way, have a very negative effect on your B12. B12 is everything, guys. Okay? Anyway, but they don't tell you about that. All they tell you is, you're in trouble because you're diabetic, and now here's a med, and it's usually metformin. It's usually metformin. Okay? Then, okay, so Harvard decides to do a study, and I've been screaming this for Blue Murder. Diabetes, it's food. It's not genetics. It's food. Now, what they call type 2 adult onset, okay? Not type 1. Type 1 is an autoimmune disorder, and we can go into that. But today, for the sake, it's type 2 adult onset diabetes that happens in kids. Why? Because it's food. Okay? Why do we have such a sick nation? It's not the environment. It's not the climate. It's food. Okay, now, 100% in 6 months, out of 2,000 participants and change, 100% diabetics came off their injectable meds. Okay? 92% came off insulin. I mean, that's huge. Insulin, listen, by the way, insulin saves your life. Okay? When you're a diabetic, the problem is insulin's not working anymore. It doesn't work properly. 84% came off their oral meds. That means they were off metformin, the number one choice. They measured CRP, and everybody's C-reactive protein went down. Now, what is that? Okay, it's a little quiz. I'm quizzing you. Okay, I'm your teacher. I'm your professor. And they at Harvard, they decided to measure CRP, which I like. Why do I like it? Okay, I'm waiting. Let me see the scrolls. Let me see the answers. If this is, listen, I can't even, yeah, okay. The scroll's not scrolling. Okay, let me just see if a few people get it. I know you guys are going to get it. There's Annette. Yes. Inflammation. Carol, inflammation. Francis, inflammation. Oh, I like to brag. Barbara, you got it. Oh, Dave, wait a minute. And Doc McEwen, yeah, you know that. Darlene, you get it. Wendy, yeah. You know what, guys? One of the reasons Nellie and Gary and Evelyn, one of the reasons I do this, Milika, Rita, you got it. Sandra, you got it. Sherry, you got it. Nina, Jocelyn, yes. Star, you got it. Brahim, Nelly, oh, you got it. The reason I do these little tests, you guys, the reason I give you little quizzes like this, okay, and you all get it, okay? The reason I do it is because I get a super charge out of you guys, okay? I just got to tell you, if you did this, by the way, if you went to, okay, just do a survey real quick on health. 99% of people wouldn't even know what CRP is for. For heaven's sakes, if you ask your doctor, do you know that probably most physicians would have to look up, why do you want a C-reactive protein test done? The other day I had somebody send me an email, my doctor won't do a CRP, says you don't need it. Because they don't know the significance of the inflammation marker test. Harvard does. Okay, now let me tell you what Harvard's thinking. I didn't even ask them, but I know what they're thinking. Okay? You have a diabetic. They got 2,000 diabetics. You know what they know what insulin does? Insulin increases inflammation. Insulin resistance. You know when your cells at the cellular level, they don't like insulin anymore. That's what diabetes is, guys. You're eating carbs. You're eating sugar. And your cells are saying, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of insulin. Insulin says, I don't care if you're sick of it. If you insist on eating crappy carbs and sugars, insulin, your pancreas screaming, but it says, I don't care. Because sugar, okay, cannot park in the bloodstream. Can't park there. So you're eating it. You're eating bread. You're eating noodles. You're eating that crappy food, cereals or whatever, and you think it's good for you. Not you, because you guys know better. But all I'm saying is people out there, they think it's good for them. It turns into sugar rapidly. It lands in the bloodstream, and insulin comes knocking on the door. Sugar, come here. Can't park there. I'm going to take you and I'm going to park you in muscle. Oh, I don't have any muscles. Too bad. Then I got to park you in, you don't have any bins? Okay. I'm going to park you in the liver. Worst place for sugar to park is in the liver. But that's where it's parked. It turns to fat. And then you keep doing it, and you know what? You get insulin resistance. Your cells don't like it. Your cells don't want it. Your fat cells said, get out of here. Your muscle cells, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. Insulin, doesn't matter. Insulin keeps knocking, knocking, knocking. And eventually, the door doesn't open anymore, and then you have diabetes. That's what type 2 diabetes is. And when that happens, way before it happens, even before it happens, I check your inflammation marker, your CRP, if you can get it done. And guess what? It's elevated. Even Harvard knows that. It's a side effect. Inflammation is a side effect. It's silent. I'm not talking about pain necessarily. I'm talking about a silent inflammation. I love what Tony Jr., he's got a good expression for it. He said, Dad, it's the fog of war. Cells can't communicate anymore because there's fog there. That's what inflammation does inside the body. Cells can't communicate with each other properly. It's like trying to drive through the fog. And the way to measure it is C-reactive protein. Okay? And Harvard said, holy moly, C-reactive protein went down in 6 months. It went down. It goes down faster than that. Guys, listen to me. Okay? Listen, Linda. Okay? Because on our private Facebook group the other day, somebody was complaining that they hadn't lost weight yet on the reset. They're frustrated. And I'm going to talk about weight loss in a minute as far as this Harvard study goes. But they're frustrated. Dr. Martin, I haven't lost weight on the reset. I said, well, wait a minute. You have to understand. There's a lot of things happening in the body that the improvement. You're lowering your insulin resistance. Guaranteed. You are lowering your inflammation markers. Inflammation left unattended will destroy your blood vessels. It will destroy your body at the cellular level. It's one of the huge factors in all chronic disease. Now, like I said, inflammation is not Houdini. Insulin resistance comes first, then inflammation. Okay? So, if you can trust the process, when you go on the 30-day reset, okay, trust it. And I know there's people that come back and they say, it's not good for you, fruits and vegetables, you're gonna die without fruits and vegetables. Dr. Martin is a quack. Nah, Harvard's saying I'm not a quack. Harvard! They said no. Dr. Martin ain't crazy. He might look crazy, but he's not crazy. Some good things are happening with diabetics. They only did it with diabetic. Their insulin came way down. They were able to get off meds, a lot of them. And they didn't need any more injections. And orally almost completely off. And then they decided to check CRP, C-reactive protein. And they said 100% of the participants, 2,000 and 29 of them, every one of them, their CRPs went down. Their inflammation markers went down. I could have told them that before they started. Then, okay, listen to this. The average weight loss in 6 months, the average weight loss was 20 pounds. So all I'm saying to you, Harvard is saying it without saying it, but I'm going to say it to you. The reset. Getting rid of carbohydrates is the best, healthiest weight loss program around. There's nothing better than that. Why? Why? Okay? You're asking why. Well, you can count calories if you want. That's called yo-yo dieting, because you're going, I'm just going to eat less and move more. That's been going on, by the way, for the last 100 years. Eat less, move more. Okay? Eat less calories. It's not calories. You can lose weight by cutting your calories. I agree with that. It's going to come back. It always does. And Harvard didn't say it, but because they just did a 6-month study. But these were diabetics, but for anybody else too, when you get on the reset, you will lose weight. But you know what? You know this big thing that's coming, and let me say this. It's like a craze today again, and I go, ugh. I get a headache, guys. I get a headache. What? Because now they're starting again. Okay, it's been done before, but it's recycled. You know what they're doing? They're taking diabetic oral medications like Ozempic. Is that what it's called? Yeah. And they're saying, what a weight loss drug. Harvard does a study and gets them on a no-carb diet for 6 months, no carbs. And they get them off Ozempic. They get them off. Now they're using that drug, the world out there, Big Pharma is using the drug for weight loss. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the weight loss drugs, okay? Because it's getting like, today it's wow. Look at the weight loss. Here's the problem. You're losing muscle instead of fat. And the other side effect, but you're losing muscle. I don't want you to lose muscle. The best, metabolically, the best thing metabolically. Look. Muscle bins. Metabolically, if you understand how your body works, insulin, its preferred place to put glucose is in muscle. But if you don't have any, if you're not strong, metabolically, that is a serious problem. So this is why when you're doing the reset, eggs, meat, cheese. Why do I like that so much? Doc, is that all you can talk about? Yeah. Why? Because metabolically, when you're eating eggs, meat, cheese, the nutrient profile, those are God's perfect foods. They're a combination of protein and fat and no carbohydrates. What does that do? Well, now you don't need a lot of insulin. One, you don't need a lot of insulin for that food. Okay? They break down very slowly. They're the best fuel. I've talked to you about this a million times. They're the best fuel. It's rocket fuel. It's 99% octane. Those foods. Okay? And what that does, insulin is just sitting around. It's got nothing to do. It loves it. It's on siesta. It's your pancreas is resting. But it's not only that. You're building, when you eat protein with fat, you're building muscle. You're losing. Your body is burning the fat off your body. Not muscle. You're not wasting your muscle. That's what happens. You starve a person to death and they will lose weight for sure. Except they're losing muscle. Fat, it's like a bear. It holds on to fat. It goes into hibernation. You insist on starving with calories, your body goes, okay, I'm holding on to fat. I'm going to burn muscle. And that's why, guys, when you do the reset, sometimes it's slower because you're not starving to death. It's slower and you go, I want to lose weight fast. I said, well, metabolically, it is better to trust the process. There's a lot of good things happening. You're lowering your triglycerides. You're elevating your HDL. Your body's going to burn off that fat. The bad fat in your body is going to burn off. It's going to be used as fuel. Your body's going to thrive. We're finally getting some confirmation of the reset, of a no carb. And again, guys, like I said, this is me. I want people to understand, and this is what 99% of the population, 99% of my patients, 99%, when they did the 1 month, it changed their life forever. They understood that they and carbs don't get along. They got that. They found out that they, and carbs have a bad relationship. They found out they don't need them. Okay? They don't need them. I'm not saying again that you don't need fruits and vegetables. Well, you can live without them, but I'm telling you, I don't mind fruits and vegetables. I like them. I don't want people to live exclusively on them. It's a big, big mistake. Okay? So, trust the process. Trust it. Harvard is saying it's a good way to eat. I'm sure it surprised them. Okay, guys. You know what tomorrow is? Question and answer Friday. Okay? Question and answer Friday tomorrow. Okay? Guys, the new book is coming out real soon. I'm telling you, like, it's being printed as we speak. Okay? So, finally, we're at that stage. Okay? So I was hoping to make an announcement, give you a date, but I'm telling you, coming to a theater near you very soon. Okay? Sun, Steak, and Steel. Okay? You're going to love it. It is an excellent book. Okay? It really is. Okay? If I don't mind telling you myself. I'm bragging a little bit. Okay. Guys, we love you dearly. We'll talk to you soon.